What's up, everybody? Shawn here, back with another live Live to Roll for you. We got the Battle of Podcasts today. We got our friend Jeremy from the Live to Walk Again on here with Live to Roll. So it's going to be a fun hangout. We're just going to talk to him about life, everything. So yeah, we'll do a couple quick intros and get into it. I'm Shawn. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic from a snowboarding accident 19 years ago now. Tom, why don't you go for it?
Actually, Bobby, you go and then I'll go. I
Okay.
No
don't want to
problem.
Bobby's.
Yeah, age before beauty.
There we
What's up,
go.
everyone? I'm Bobby Rohan, C56 quadriplegic. 35 years from a bicycle accident. Here in Southern California, Huntington Beach, Fountain Valley. Loving every minute. So go ahead, Tom.
Definitely not true about the beauty part because you're Silver Fox, Bobby. Everybody knows it. But in any event, I am Tom Conaway. I'm a C6B quadriplegic for the last 25 years. But we're super excited to introduce our buddy, our pod buddy, Jeremy Dixon, who I believe has also been a quadriplegic for the last 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah,
Jeremy is the host for the Live to Walk Again podcast, one of the founders of the Live to Walk Again Foundation, which is a foundation that's working on bringing individuals together to help work towards a cure for paralysis. And we're just really excited to talk to another awesome quad member of the community that has a lot of representation and does a lot of talking to other inspiring individuals in the community. So, Jeremy, you want to introduce yourself real quick for us?
yeah. Thank you for the introduction there, Tom. Yeah, my name's Jeremy Dixon. I'm a C4, C5 quadriplegic for 25 years. Just had my life day, and back in January, I think we were actually going to do. That's when I was originally scheduled to come on. Was right after that. Yeah, from a
Yeah.
car accident here in Olympia, Washington, and yeah, I started the Live to Walk Again Foundation probably 5 or 6 years ago now, and the podcast. I think we just passed our 4 year anniversary with the podcast in February.
Nice.
So yeah, everybody check that out. Live to Walk Again. .org and the Live to Walk Again podcast everywhere that podcasts are available.
Lots
Yeah, I'll make
of
sure to
the
get the
listeners,
links in the description.
including Shawn, has been like featured on the Live to Walk In podcast. Brianna has been on it. The Chi-Town Twins, Ashley and Nikki, who we've had on a bunch and always come on the Lady Show. They've been featured on
Oh.
the Live to Walk In podcast too. So definitely go give it some love. And Shawn, I did not mean to cut you off, bro. What were you gonna say?
No, no, no. Then I was gonna actually Bobby. I think froze. He had his power go out. But anyways, no, I was just gonna. I forgot what I was even gonna mention.
Dang it!
So
I'm sorry about
no, no big deal.
that.
Let's just
uh,
say what's up to people in the chat real quick too. Roy, first one in. How's it going? Uh, Grandma, she's there too.
Erica, THC
Yeah,
Goddess,
Erica, THC Goddess, how you doing?
what up, Wheelchair Rick and Darren,
Kevin,
everybody. Thank you
Wheelchair
so
Rick.
much for joining us today.
I gotta reach out to Wheelchair Rick. I keep forgetting. My bad. I'm gonna message you later today because he messaged
All
me
right,
on
well,
Instagram and I keep forgetting. Sorry about that.
you heard it live
Uh,
on the pod. Shawn's gonna get back to
Yeah, what's up,
um,
everybody?
yeah. Well,
you.
I don't know if
So
you are.
Jeremy,
If any. Oh yeah, go for it, dude.
I just want to ask you some questions, man. I want to know about your life. I want to know about who you are. So I know a little bit about you just from the research that I did. Why don't you tell us how you're injured, if you do not mind retelling the story?
Yeah, so I was a senior in high school, 19, class of 1998 here in Olympia. There, we were just hanging out, being dumb kids. Went out to have a bonfire and um, heard there was like a bunch of people out there. It turned out there wasn't a bunch of people out there, so we decided to just pack it up and head home. We'd been drinking. Um, I got in the car with a friend who had been drinking pretty heavily with me. I was right along with him. I'm not trying to blame him or anything. I made my own decision to ride with him, but Thankfully, nobody else rode with us because there was a couple carfuls of us, and I was the only one riding in his car just because the back seat belts were broken in his car. And thank God nobody else rode with. Completely demolished. We got
Um, I don't know. Can you guys hear me? I can't hear anybody. Can you hear me, Shawn?
So, yeah, I hear you, Tom. I
All
think
right,
just
cool.
Jeremy's.
Well, sorry, you guys. Technical difficulties. We're trying to do this new thing. We're like dual streaming to YouTube and Facebook. I don't know if that maybe is what's causing the blunderbutt, but it honestly could be anything. Could be internet on Jeremy's end too. We're gonna work to get it back for you guys as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Apologies for the small technical difficulties. In the meantime, here we are. Beautiful day, April 4th, 2023. Southern California. It's a little cloudy. It's a little overcast, a little chilly, but we're healthy. We're happy. We're here. Had a pretty good weekend. Um, yeah, just dealing with some stuff. Unfortunately, my girlfriend's a little under the weather right now. Trying to help and support her with that. It's like a chest cold. She's a quad as well. Anybody knows deals with quadriplegia, respiratory stuff is kind
Yeah,
of
man.
tough. I'm sorry to out you, Kit Kat, and talk about your illness on um, the pod, but it's like I think an important, good topic. And honestly, it's been on my mind a lot the last 24,
No,
48
yeah, it is.
hours
Especially,
as I've been thinking about you and worrying about you and hoping
we
that you
got.
get back healthy real quick. So, Jeremy, are you back?
sorry about that, guys. I felt
Oh,
like I was running a little slow. I don't know what, and then I just fell off. Man, my bad.
And actually, your picture looks a little bit better now. So maybe your internet
Okay.
connection's a little better now.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm hoping. Hey, I don't know how far I got into the story before I fell out. So
okay. You were just talking about how you were the only ones in the car with you and your buddy.
Yeah,
You
you were
guys
the
were
only
just
yeah,
two.
yeah,
Luckily,
yeah.
everybody
so
else is in
yeah,
other cars.
there was another car full of kids, like including my brother, my younger brother. We got in a head-on collision, uh, surprisingly, with a couple of girls that went to our high school. Um, I got thrown out of the car. Ended up basically, I heard that I was laying on my back, but my head was spun facing down. So like I was all messed up. They airlifted me to Harborview Hospital in Seattle, which is a pretty big trauma center around here. And luckily, I saw they didn't think I was going to make it. Luckily, my aunt, like this is pretty early internet days. She worked for Boeing and had a laptop with internet access and was able to find an experimental drug called Cygen, and they got that to me like kind of at the end of the window that you want to get it to people in. I think it's the first 48 hours or something, and they think that really contributed to me not being on a ventilator now. So
What is it?
Interesting.
Like a
Yeah.
anti-inflammatory, like steroid, or like um,
it's like an anti-inflammatory type thing that's supposed to reduce the swelling
yeah.
in the spinal cord. They don't use it anymore. I've looked it up over the last couple of years, and I think they might use it for something else now, but they don't
Yeah.
give it to people with spinal cord injuries anymore. So
Hmm.
Well, medicine is so fast changing, and sometimes they even change the names of similar treatments, like similar drugs that do, the same kind of thing, but now it's repatented or it's changed slightly in the, 25 years since, you got the stuff that you got. So that's kind of the
right.
name of the game, though, for anybody. The reason I kind of stop and remark on it is they didn't do it as much back in the day because they just weren't very learned about how to best treat like acute trauma to like a spinal cord like that. But the name of the game is to stop the swelling, mitigate the swelling, or prevent it from happening, because that's really what causes the damage to the nerves in the spine. Is like this swelling that can occur as a result of the trauma in the surrounding area. So that's kind of cool. You seem to be one of the first people to get a treatment like that, or one of the early people.
Yeah. I mean, it was like such a lucky, like, you know, situation and course of events that led to that. So, um, yeah, I definitely like appreciate all my family. My family are I've come from a big Italian family, and they don't mess around when it comes to if somebody's hurting or whatever. They're there and going 100%. So, like, thanks. Yeah, I definitely owe them a lot for finding that drug and getting it so quickly. So
So, I mean, being off a ventilator, we have some friends who are ventilated quads. It's difficult for me to imagine. I was on a trach for a few months when I was first injured. I thankfully also able to get off the ventilator, not have to deal with it long term. It can be a pretty serious thing to have to deal with long term. We know, I mean, Russell and I know like a bunch of amazing quads that lead incredible, amazing lives with it. But yeah, no, I always think of myself as super, super lucky and fortunate that I don't have to be on the vent. Um, it can be something that's really hard.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, man. I mean, I just always think about that too. Like, it could, like, regardless of how, like, like, this injury is hard to deal with, right? Like,
Yeah,
regardless of like what level you're on, and it can always be worse. So, like,
yeah,
that's what I always think to myself to keep me kind of motivated to keep going and
yeah.
yeah, I
Well,
mean, it
you've
just
been 25 years member of the Quad Squad, and if you don't mind me saying, you're looking pretty good, bro. Pretty awesome. Like being a part of the Quad Squad for so long. Um, how do you feel? How are you feeling after 25 years of paralysis? I mean, personally, I know aging with disability is something we talk about all the time on this like show is difficult. Pain and aging and like gravity and like the effects of time on a paralyzed body is not easy generally I think to deal with. How's your experience been with all that?
I think my other than my shoulders, like, my shoulders like ache all the time, but as far as pain wise, that's like my biggest complaint.
Yeah.
Everything else has been pretty good. I mean, I've only prior to this, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about my recent hospital stay, but prior to that, I had only had to go into the hospital one time or twice. I'm sorry, twice. I had to have my gallbladder out like a year after my original injury, and then I never got sick. And I think in like 2018, right around New Year's, I ended up getting pneumonia and ended up in the hospital for like 5 or 10 days or something. And but then I mean, like, I've been pretty lucky. I know a lot of quads that are in and out of the hospital constantly. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've been pretty lucky, pretty blessed as far as that goes. And yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good for having been in a wheelchair for 25 years.
Yeah, I mean, same. I mean, I think there are some things that are very difficult to avoid. Shoulder overuse is like one of them. Like if you are like any level of independent, I mean, you're just doing everything with your arms and moving your body and stuff. Over time, it's just inevitable. In those systems, the wear and tear can be a little bit more intense. And I think like Shawn and I can definitely relate to that, right, Shawn?
Yeah, dude. That's I'm like, well, actually, like yesterday, every month I go get a like massage cupping treatment,
uh,
and I spend the full hour on my shoulders and back. Like, I don't even care. I got like that's what hurts. That's what I overuse. That's what I'm constantly like hunched in weird positions in, and that's what I need the treatment on. So like I literally just have an hour of deep tissue massage and cupping, and it's painful. Like it's not like a fun like like, but it does help. But like by the following day and stuff, and I'll notice because I get them every 4 weeks. By week 3, and then like when I'm getting to that fourth week, I'm feeling more achy, more pains, more just like it's just that inflammation. Everything's just building back up. So I'm all for that self care and treatment on yourself. So I don't know if you guys do
What
any of that, but it helps so much.
if you don't mind me
Yeah.
asking, like, what is your care situation like? Do you have caregivers around a lot of the time? Do you get help with most things or certain things? Like, how do you balance that?
Yeah, I mean, I generally, I got lucky. I got, in the state of Washington, I got kind of grandfathered into getting, I think, 300, almost 400 hours a month for caregivers, which breaks down to almost 13 hours a day. So, some days I'll have them here less so I can have them here longer, like on the weekends if I want to stay,
Yeah,
go hang out with my buddies and watch a UFC fight or something, or a game or whatever, or go out, whatever the case may be. So I'll like have them work later on some nights. And so, yeah, I get like 13 hours a day basically, and I'm super lucky to have that because I know a lot of people, like people that get injured now, are not, even here in the state of Washington, aren't getting, I don't think, anything close to that. So yeah, I mean, I have a pretty great situation of set of caregivers help me get up in the morning and get into bed at night and kind of do my daily activities and stuff. So
yeah.
Have you used
That's
those
a
same caregivers for a while? Like you've had the same couple for you?
yeah, I've had like a few or three. I have four right now, and they've all been with me for I think 4 or 5 years. Is the most recent hire, I guess. So, what about
Nice.
you? What about you guys down in? I know you guys are, Shawn. I know you do some. You're able to transfer by yourself. So I don't know about you, Tom, but what are your guys' situations with that?
um.
Yeah,
You
go
want to
for
go
it.
first?
Oh yeah, I mean I can. I'm pretty independent for a quad because I do have my transfer. I can do all my own like nighttime routine care, so I can change like my catheter, my bag from the leg bag to a bed one, get into bed and all that at night on my own. So the only time I really have caregivers come is when I do my bowel care, which is 4 days a week. I do my bowel care, and I usually get like 2 to 3 hours. They come in for those periods, and the rest of the time I'm pretty much on my own. But I am super independent for a quad. There are some days where like I'm out and like it would be nice to have some help around. But I've just kind of learned to deal with it and uh, and figured enough out on my own. So but I do have more. I have the wrist extension, which is super helpful as a quad. That allows me to pick stuff up and do a lot of different stuff. Um, and yeah, I'm super fortunate for my strength and my ability. So
Yeah.
Similar. I'm very fortunate for my strength and ability. A lot of it, will like toot my own horn for a second, has come through a lot of hard work and like really like a lot of effort on my part to work to gain as much of those skills as I could and do as much of this on my own as I could. I used to, and I went from like living at home, which is like full time care, like my mom and dad and my brother and sister, to I moved out 10 years ago, and I had 7 days a week morning care, and then 7 days a week evening care. So I would be pretty much on my own during the day, but I'd have people for like 2 hours in the morning, and then at least like an hour or two at night to help me with my bedtime routine, and then they didn't help me transfer, but they supervised me transferring. I was just like paranoid about falling and stuff and transferring without anybody around when I first moved out. And that has changed a lot like the last couple of years in a way that I don't know, like people, like a lot of people like what the fuck you doing, Tom? But it's scaled back. Like I have 2 mornings of morning care now, which is like bladder, bowel care, shower, and then the rest of the mornings I manage it on my own. And then I have evening care again 3 or 4 nights a week. But it's just like cleaning around my apartment, my laundry, cleaning the floor, stuff like that, stuff I have a hard time doing. Some light meal prep and some personal care as well in the evening if I just want help changing or need help changing or something like that. Um, and that's just been for like personal reasons. I've scaled it back when I wanted to challenge myself to see what I could do and achieve in terms of independence, but also I don't know, like I got into a relationship with somebody and I wanted like my mornings and I wanted to be able to like confidently stay away from my apartment and be able to like manage my care and do things more independently. That's what I wanted to do. And I found a certain balance with it. I'm getting more care, more morning care because the 2 days a week isn't working for me. I need like more like Shawn, like feel like 3 or 4 to just feel good and to not be so drained from.
Okay, guys, I think I'm back on. Um, all right, guys, I think that was my internet this time again. And I don't know if that's because we're doing the dual stream or not. So there was a break there, but we're back on. Same stream, we're live.
All right.
Sorry
I
about
wasn't
that.
sure if that was
It was just a warning. It was a warning that I was talking too long. So I was just talking about my personal care routine. Um, yeah, but that pretty much covered it. I think I covered it mostly. Um,
Yeah.
and I was just saying, it's such an important topic. I just want everyone listening, um, figuring out a routine. It's like everyone's different. Everyone's care routine is different. Everyone's requirement of care is different, and it's really kind of up to the individual, you to determine what that is. And it's also fluid too. So what you might need now might not always be what you need, or what you have right now might not be enough, and you might need to add more and change it up and figure out that balance that's a little bit better and works for you. But everyone's kind of very different in that regard, I've found, and it's a lot of work and it's a lot of effort, but I think it's probably like the most important part of the formula is organizing your help and your care and your assistance and enabling you to be independent, because that's like a big part of independence is setting yourself up for the times that you need help so that when you don't have help you're as successful as independent as you can be, if that makes sense. uh,
Yeah, for sure. Are you guys able to drive on your own, or do you have to like take public transportation, or do you have like vehicles that somebody can drive you in?
Shawn drives. Shawn's a awesome driver. He drives me around sometimes, pick me up, take me places, which is really great. We like quad clown car it. I, however, do not. I could. I've driven like short distances before in modified vehicles. Driving's kind of scary to me. I don't know. At least for now, I've not been limited via public transportation and access, which is a transportation program here in Southern California, and I can get pretty much anywhere I want to with relative ease. And Uber recently has been great, but also my girlfriend, she drives. She's a quadriplegic as well, and she has a modified van, and she drives me around from time to time as well. So
Yeah.
I get rides.
And
I get rides everywhere. Yeah.
and I do drive. That was a little tough to get at first. And to be honest, the first time I went to a driver's evaluation, the lady told me I was not going to be strong enough to drive independently and transfer in and out of the van. And then like 8 months later, I got a van and was driving. So.
Awesome.
But even when I got the van, it was still honestly probably a little bit sketchy the first few times. And I didn't go out on my own for a while. I'll, like the first probably 6 months I was driving, I always drove with somebody just in case. So it took me a while to build up to independent like driving.
Right.
And in the chat, what's up, Mr. Wheels and Soldiers? Yeah, I've never lived in Austin. Yes, I think before. Not from Austin and never lived in Austin.
We did go to Houston last year. We had a great time.
We went to Houston for the Abilities Expo.
You could check out for a time in Texas with the Cowboys. But back to our guests. So tell us a little bit about your journey. I know, I mean, your Instagram and stuff, you feature a lot of inspiring individuals just living badass lives from their chair and stuff. But correct me if I'm mistaken, but the kind of tone of your podcast is kind of about curing paralysis, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, right? Helping. We kind of thought about it. So it's like me and a few friends and my girlfriend. We started this thing 5 or 6 years ago, and it really started as like there's no place to work out. There's no like adaptive gyms in Western Washington, at least in the southern part of the Puget Sound area. I think there's a couple up north of Seattle, but that's, from Olympia, that's like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive, which would be a pain in the ass trying to go work out every couple days or whatever. So like the original goal was like, how do we keep our bodies in the best shape, and like both through food and through working out and stuff like that. So we're trying to like raise money to build a gym. That was the original goal of the foundation, and then we started the podcast, and yeah, we started tapping into doctors and researchers that are doing amazing things right now and have been for a while. But I always get the sense that there's so many good ideas out there, and I think maybe it eventually is going to come from like a combination of multiple different like advancements, you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
there's the olfactory bulb cells and stuff like that never stop reproducing in your nasal passage, I guess. um that combined with some of the stem cell stuff, and there's just I feel like there's so much advancement, but they're all working in tunnel vision, um, on their specific point of view, so I think it's eventually gonna that's why I want to like try to bring some of these different technologies and researchers together to be like, well, what about, if you add this in, that might be the special sauce right there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I've studied just as like a layman, spinal cord injury, like stem cell research, spinal cord injury recovery treatments and techniques, pretty much my whole life. Because I don't know, obviously, it's related to me. I've never really been in that camp where like, oh damn, like, I mean, it's kind of a weird topic to even talk about. Oh, did we lose Jeremy again?
I,
Oh
I
no, sorry,
think I'm here.
Shawn. Shawn's messing with the production back there. I got confused for a second. I never wanted to be too focused on it because one, I just didn't like. I don't I don't like the idea of kind of dwelling on something that doesn't exist and like putting all my effort or energy towards something that's not here. It may not be here for, a long, long time. I mean, I certainly hope, and I think it's very like important to stay in the know and to keep yourself educated on certain such topics, but also at the same time, like you were saying, Jeremy, like there's lots of techniques towards like recovery. Some you can do now via like exercise and diet and keeping yourself healthy as possible so that if anything ever does come around the bend that they can fix a spinal cord, our body's in the best condition to recover. But that's kind of the other part of like spinal cord injury recovery is that I don't know, like if they were to fix my spine after like now, 2023, like after being in a chair for 25 years, it'd be a lot different conversation, I think, versus like if I was very newly injured and like, hey, we got this treatment, like let's try to fix you and get you better. Like I worry about the side effects of aging with paralysis and atrophy and chronic pain and still lack of mobility as a result of just muscle degradation and osteoporosis and all the other stuff that just comes along with being in a chair for a long time, um like what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for sure it's going to be if they do, if and when they do, eventually they're going to figure this out, right? Like
Yeah.
I mean, they have to. Um, I think it's going to be like I think so. First of all, I think a lot of the studies are geared towards people that are newly injured.
Yeah.
Um, but there are some that are focusing more on people with long-term injuries, which is great. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be I don't know if I can cuss on this show or not, but it's going to
You're
Yeah. No,
be
go
okay.
for it.
it's
Go
going to
for
be
it.
a motherfucker to figure out. I mean, yeah, with foot drop and yeah, like fingers are tight and all this stuff like just trying to osteoporosis, trying to get your arms moving again in the right way, your legs moving again the right way. It's going to be a lot of work and it's probably going to be pretty painful, and I definitely can see where you're coming from with that. But I don't know, man. From my perspective, I'm willing to give it a shot. So
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't be either. Like, people have asked me that question before, like, oh, if a cure came along, would you take it? I don't know if it's as black and white as like a yes or no question. Like, I would need to, first of all, like, see all the research, see, the studies that they've done, like, try to understand the efficacy of like whatever that like treatment is, and then make a decision based on a lot of information, a lot of factors, and a lot of other people's experiences. If I was like they were to line me up and like make me the first guinea pig, and like sorry if that's like a bad word because I don't think anybody who maybe does want to be the first one in line shouldn't necessarily be described as a guinea pig, but I don't think I would be jumping at it. And just like I always joke like, oh, I want robot legs, like get rid
That,
of this like biological mess that I call
that's
my
what Mr.
body.
Wheels said. He wants
Hopefully
robot
it's
legs so he
a
can dunk.
robot and stuff. But I wouldn't even be jumping at that either. I don't think if I would just want to understand the science and understand what's going on in a little bit more detail. I follow a lot of Dr. Wise Young's research out of Rutgers University and
yeah,
what he's done overseas in China too, because like the studies that they've done in China are like 5 or 6 years above like what they're doing here in the States, and it is truly incredible in the treatment not only for newly injured individuals but meaningful rehabilitation and recovery for longer term injuries too. And it's not so much
Hmm.
like they're walking again, but it's like regaining certain levels of function like bladder and bowel care. I mean, I would sell my left leg literally if it meant I could get my bladder and my bowel care back. Because like
right.
I'm not using the damn thing anyways. Like take it please. But I do think that is super exciting. If something were to come along, and I mean, I even have spoken to doctors and researched a lot in the ways of spinal stimulators to
Hmm.
assist and help out with things like that. Again, not maybe like a full fix it, but here's what we can do to make your life easier. And that is what I'm excited for, I think, in the next few years to come. With like technological advancements in like modern medicine is, I don't think there is going to be a cure all, but I am excited for what they might be able to do to improve my quality of life and improve the quality of life of all quadriplegics. Be it, making our bodies function a little bit easier and better, through medicine, treatments, stem cells, or like implants, electrical implants, but also with technology. Like allowing us to like interface with the world more easily and more effectively. Use computers better, use smart technology better. Maybe even operate our wheelchairs and ways to be more successful and independent in life. I think I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, dude, I agree. That's all. It's all awesome. But like you said, Tom, I don't know that it's gonna be just the pill that cures all like anytime too soon. But have you guys? So one thing, Jeremy, I know you're prepping. You're kind of keeping, eating like diet and stuff. Are you really on top of stretching and all that? Because that's gonna be, if you wanted to walk again, like like you said, foot drop and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Because I know I have some minor foot drop. I know I have some scoliosis that I've formed over the years. I'm sure I have osteoporosis. So like, are you doing anything for stuff like that too? Or you stretch a lot? Do you?
Yeah, I definitely, stretch morning and night. It's crazy because when I was in the hospital just recently, they had to put a PIC line in
Shit.
to my arm. You all right?
Violent
Look,
spasms, man.
Shawn has these
No
crazy
doubt, man.
spasms that looks like he's about to flip backwards in his chair. I'm
And if
laughing.
my old chair used to flip over, even with the wheelie bars. This chair doesn't flip. Plus, my knees are under the table, so it helps. But I just don't want to flip my computer.
Yeah,
But
no
anyways,
doubt.
go ahead, man. Sorry, dude.
Yeah,
Didn't
I was
want to
gonna
interrupt.
say, yeah, just like so not being able, because I had the PIC line in, they put it in my right arm, which is my prominent arm, and it was crazy because I couldn't stretch it out really at all. I could stretch my fingers out is about it. But they didn't want me holding my arm out to the side and stretching it down to keep my elbows stretched out, I guess, and those muscles in there, and it got so bad. I'm just kind of getting back to being able to drive my chair properly, and I've been out of the hospital now. I think March 1st I got out, so yeah. I mean, it's been been pretty crazy this last few weeks being home from the hospital after having just all my muscles in my right arm tighten up. It was terrible. So yeah, everybody, if you guys are out there and you're not stretching, definitely got to be on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
no,
mean, rehabilitation doesn't start and stop after the first couple of months of your injury. It's something that you kind of have to implement into your everyday life if you want to, maintain yourself. I think, kind of like what Jeremy is talking about is, um, you got to stay after it. Like Shawn, you got to, just like Shawn says, you got to stretch regularly. You got to stretch every day. I mean, if you don't have to necessarily dedicate your life to it, but it's got to be part of your routine. I don't, when I do rehabilitative stuff, sometimes I do PT. I'll go for 6 months and do PT once or twice a week and stuff, but then I'll stop for a year, and I won't. I deal with contractions. I deal with stuff all the time that I should. I think, and I mean, it does like nag me and give me anxiety. It's like, oh gosh, like what am I doing to my body? But it's hard. It's hard, especially after 25 years. Like, I'm not trying to give myself excuses, but it can be really difficult to maintain that stuff. And just like what Jeremy said too, it's like the rate at which it falls off is so quick. Like, if I'm down for a couple weeks and I'm not moving and stretching and doing the stuff that I normally do, like, it's scary how quickly you degrade and how quickly you lose it.
so I wish Bobby was on here too, because when he was talking like his hospital stay, you guys are both, I think, like had overlapping hospital stays. You're both at the same time. But and I'm
And
sure this happened to you. But after being down for so long, like he couldn't even get back up into his chair without almost like blacking out or like fully blacking out from his blood pressure. Just because like even for like that 3-4 weeks or whatever laying down, that fluctuates. That right there changed the blood pressure, and it took him like 2 weeks to recover to where he could sit in his chair again for long periods all day. So like yeah, all that little stuff. And I wanted to mention too, I had a PIC line once, and that was honestly one of the things that drove me crazy. Is they did not want me moving it or stretching it, and it hurt to move and stretch. Oh, there's Bobby actually right there. So yeah, I hated that, dude.
Yeah,
Let
yeah,
me,
it was
bam.
how has your rehab gone, Jeremy? And maybe just to provide a little context, we keep talking about your hospital stay. If anyone doesn't know, Jeremy was in the hospital for what, 5 weeks?
5.5 weeks.
5.5 weeks.
Yeah.
You had an
January
ulcer.
21st. Yeah, January 21st to March 1st. So it's
You had an
crazy.
ulcer that ruptured and
Yeah.
required surgery and recovery.
Scary.
Yeah, and
So
they didn't know. They didn't know that I even had that because I went in thinking I had a bladder infection, and it took. I was just couldn't hold anything down. I was just nauseous, And after like 3 days, they finally were like, let's do a scan. Like my white blood cell count started going back up, and then my like I woke up like the second morning I was in the hospital, and my heart was beating like 180 beats a minute, and my shoulders were just killing me. And they were like, we need to give you something right away to slow your heart rate down. And so they finally got that kind of under control with medication. Then my white blood cell count started going back up, and the doctor finally was like, this is very strange. Like, let's do, I don't know if they did a CT scan or something on my abdomen, and it was, yeah, like looked, it was weird. It looked like it was like cobwebs, like all through my abdomen, like when they showed me the image of it. And then all of a sudden a surgeon came in, was like, hey, we're going downstairs right now. And basically they're like, we need to put this HG tube in, I think it's called. And that was the worst thing that I had to deal with in the hospital. I don't know if any of you guys have had an HG tube put in before.
Is it an NG tube?
NG tube, thank you. Yeah.
It's like a nasal gastric tube. And unfortunately, I have very intimate knowledge and experience with said tube and procedure.
It was like torture, man. It was the worst thing. I don't even think I took, like, I was abusing Dilaudid in the hospital because of that tube, not because of any of the pain from the surgery. It was like that thing was the biggest, just, yeah, I mean, those are a killer.
I swear it is like torture. If they did this to somebody they were interrogating, they would break in a minute. I swear to God, because this shit is gnarly. For anybody that doesn't know, a nasogastric tube is a mechanism for putting nutrients and fluid and stuff into your stomach. A G tube is just a gastric tube that a lot of people are more familiar with. It's something they put directly through your abdomen to your stomach. But a nasogastric tube is a tube that they put in through your sinuses, down your throat, into your stomach. And the only way to get that tube into your stomach and not into your lungs is to have you conscious while they administer the NG tube, because you have to swallow the tube. And so they shove it into your face, and you feel it go up behind your eye and down back into your throat. And they're sitting there telling you to swallow, swallow, swallow. You're like dying from the awkward, insane feeling that it is. And you're sitting here trying to swallow this tube. And then once it's in, it's like a nightmare. Like you can feel it through through your throat. You can feel it in your throat. And it's just crazy. I had to have one for like 24 hours. I had to get a surgery on my intestines. They took part of my small intestine and attached it to my bladder to make it bigger. But they had to give me the NG tube and like pump a bunch of fluid into my stomach and my intestines to prepare it for surgery. And yeah, that shit was a nightmare.
Sounds like I picked the wrong time to come back. Sorry, everyone. I don't know. I lost power. It was the weirdest thing. I couldn't even use my phone to call anybody. It was like I was surprised my text went through, Shawn. But yeah, we got a lot of wind here, so I'm not sure if it was the wind or what. But yeah, I've had that too, Jeremy, an NG tube. I've had also though, Tom, where they were gonna suction out phlegm out of my chest because I was coughing.
I've had that one.
But what happened is it was New Year's Day, so a lot of the rookies were in New Year's Day, and as he was putting that thing up, next thing I know, I'm like, Dad, it's coming out my mouth, and it was coming out my mouth.
Oh my God! No!
Yeah.
No.
That's terrible, man.
But so yeah,
Jeremy, did you lose your like when I got mine taken out? I had it in for I think a week or maybe 4 or 5 days. I can't remember, so long ago, but I couldn't talk for like 3 or 4 days.
My voice was messed up pretty bad from having it in, and then when it came out, it took a couple days for my voice to get back to normal. I think I was able to talk, but I just sounded like I had the worst like frog in my throat ever. It was terrible. Those things are the worst though. They put this like crazy bandage around your nose to like clip it so it doesn't like pull out on its own or whatever. It was the worst, man. Like, I literally stopped taking pain medicine as soon as they finally took. I mean, I had mine in for like 4 weeks though. Like it was a nightmare.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
that's right. You couldn't eat for that long. That's hard, dude.
And so so they would let me eat. I could drink water. Basically, I think they put it in. I mean, because they wanted to keep like any of like the bile or stomach acid out of my stomach because they had to do surgery to basically patch this hole in my between my basically the valve between my small intestine and my stomach, and so they patched that up, and then they're like, yeah, you got to keep everything out of your stomach. So basically you drink water, you see the water come right back out the tube. They started letting me have like just clear chicken broth and beef broth, so it's like all I had to eat. You know, I mean, and you drink it and then it comes right back out. But it's just like having that, being able to taste it and at least swallow it was like heaven for a couple weeks there. But yeah, the NG tube in general, not a fan.
No, they
next time you just say, pop a G tube in. It's so much easier. Like if you had to be on that for a month, you might as well. I'm surprised they wouldn't just do it.
That's it. Kelly, How I Roll said that they had to move his to the other side after 30 days. So he had his for like over a month, and they had to do like switch. That sounds horrible.
They were talking about doing that for me, and I was like, absolutely, because I could hear my sinus like cracking when it was going up. It was like, I don't even want to gross you guys out anymore. It was the worst thing I've ever. A friend of mine actually works at the hospital, and a friend of mine works in the hospital or used to work in the emergency room, and we were talking about the NG tubes, and he said that people back like a few years ago, they used to let if somebody came in and had overdosed or whatever, they're like, look, you can either drink this like nasty like cup of this charcoal stuff, or we're going to put an NG tube in and we're going to pump it into your stomach. And they'd take a drink and it's like the worst stuff ever. They'd be like, screw you, I'm not drinking that. So they would like grab people in headlocks and just like shove this thing into their nose and pump their stomachs full of charcoal. And I guess he was like, they didn't, there wasn't people returning though to the emergency room every week with, after they overdosed. He's like there is now, because I guess it's pretty around here. It's pretty bad. Like the homeless and like drug, situation is not good around here right now. So they get a lot of overdoses in the emergency room, and he's like, yeah, they like 4 years ago they wouldn't let him do that anymore because they thought it was inhumane or something. So, which I'm sure it probably, he said blood would be everywhere. It was just a nightmare. But
that sounds wow.
I try not to knock modern medicine because I'm super grateful that those things exist to help us when we need that kind of help. Because back in the day before NG tubes, I'm sure a lot of people weren't able to get treatments and had to deal and suffer with that other stuff. So we are sitting here talking a lot of trash about these medical procedures because they are awful, very inherently, like they're very difficult to deal with, I think, in the moment. But the way that I kind of rationalize it, and if I ever got to do that kind of stuff in the future, like I'm just super grateful it still exists, at the very least, because I sure did hate my NG tube when I had it. But after I got my surgery and my bladder health improved and I could cath independently and stuff, like definitely worth it, and like Jeremy's here, we're talking to him, he's smiling, he's healthy, he's happy, out of the hospital. So it wasn't all for naught, which at least that is the case.
So any side effects or anything going on now? You completely recovered, or any medicine?
Yeah, what are you doing for rehab? That was what I was going to ask.
I'm just doing my basic like stretches and kind of weight work that I do here at the house. So no they didn't give me any physical therapy or anything like that. But yeah, everything's good. they are going to have me go in for what's called an endoscopy, I think, where they put a camera down, knock me out and put a camera down my throat, basically, to go check on make sure everything's healed up properly down in my stomach. And I got to do that here in like the next month, but they think everything's good. And yeah, man, I'm thankful to be alive, because like whenever you have, food and fecal matter and stuff spilling out into your abdomen, that's a recipe for not being around much longer. So definitely thankful for the doctors and the nurses and all my family and friends, and even Shawn was checking on me. So appreciate it, man.
Well, we had to get you back in good shape to bring you back on the pod, because we had you
right. Yeah, like I got out and we were gonna do it, I think a week or two after, and then I got COVID on top of that. So it was like I'm pretty sure I got COVID while I was in the hospital, because I think like 2 days later I started having a sore throat, but thank God it didn't hit me too hard. So
well, you probably had some good antibiotics maybe still helping out. When you got home, were you, like, for me, I was only in for 25 days, and then finally, my wife just said, "You can't come home. You're so weak. You got to go to rehab." And and pretty much I didn't have, I had to go, and thank God I did. You didn't have to do anything like that. Or how weak were you when you came home from being in the hospital that long?
Yeah, I was telling the guys, I think when you had fallen off, that they had put a PICC line into my right arm, so I had quite a bit of atrophy, and that's my kind of dominant arm. So I'm just kind of getting back now, and I've been home for just over a month. I'm just getting back to being able to drive my wheelchair without any problems. Excuse me, and kind of getting back to normal finally. So that was a big pain.
I was lucky that I did go to rehab. That helped. That helped a lot. I don't think I could have came home without it.
Yeah, they just sent me home, but I do have caregivers for quite a bit of time during the day, so they were able to help me and get everything situated. And like I said, I'm finally getting back to full strength, I feel like. And it was a hell of an ordeal, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Man.
For anybody that maybe like kind of like, what the heck are these guys even talking about? If you find yourself in a long-term stay in a hospital, bedbound for a few weeks, just kind of what we were mentioning earlier, it's the rate at which you lose stuff happens a lot quicker than gaining it back.
So much faster.
And it's really important to be aware of that. One, to try to maintain yourself the best you can, even if you are in a bedbound situation, or if you're in a situation like that. Do whatever rehabilitation you can, if you're able to do any at all. I mean, number one is always recovery, get back to being healthy and being alive. But it's something to consider too, and like mention to your doctors and to your care team who's maybe talking to you and like coordinating your care for the future, is like, hey, is rehab an option for me for a few weeks at least? Like, the amount that this hospital stay is taken away from me, the amount of strength it took to recover, I need to work on getting some of that strength back. I need to work on recovering. It's not generally in the care plan. Hospitals want to get you in and out as quickly as possible, and that sucks. But just because they want to get you out doesn't mean that they can't maybe send you to another facility that does specialize in rehabilitating you, getting you stronger, getting you back to where you can go home and be more successful and be better, more independent and stuff. Again, not always necessary, and sometimes that rehabilitation can just happen at home if you have the support in the system to support that. But that isn't the case for everybody, and I think it isn't the case for a lot of people.
For my case, it was just my wife and I, and it wasn't going to work out well for her. It was going to kill her if I came home and her having to do everything. Because when I was in the hospital, she got COVID, so she was, on the weaker side. So and I was hoping, like, can I just go home for the weekend and then go to rehab? And it's like, nope. And then if you go home, it means you're too well, to go to rehab. So it's like,
Yeah.
all right. So
I would have the
That's
same issues as you, Bobby. I think because that's what being as independent as I am. If I came out of the hospital like a month stay, I would. I don't know what I would do for the first few weeks. I would have to do some sort of rehab stay, or like I don't know. I'd have to pick up my caregiving a lot. Because that's just
yeah, it takes a lot, man. And I know you guys had mentioned, I think when Bobby had fallen off, that he was like almost like passing out when he'd get up in his chair after being kind of bedbound for a couple weeks, and I like flipped out. I had like a meltdown. I hadn't been sleeping. Like the only sleep I was getting was like drug induced, and just was not a good situation. And like I think on like day 7 of being in the hospital, or day 6, and having not been up in my chair, I just like flipped out and was like, "You guys got to get me up. I can't breathe. Right? I'm like not breathing well. Like I just need to get up." So I'm like sitting up, and they got me up in the chair. Like between a couple of my caregivers were always there, and they would help because like that's the thing, man. Like I ended up on a heart floor because my heart had kind of gone crazy that second or third day.
You went to cardiac floor?
Yeah, I was on the cardiac floor, and that's like they're like the A team at the hospital. The nurses on that floor at the hospital I was in here in Olympia, and they were able to pick it up pretty quick. But they're not used to dealing with somebody who's a quadriplegic, so they don't. They know like the basics of movement and stuff like that. But it was getting me up into the chair took some time, and that I was luckily able to do that. And after that, I pretty much got up every day and just would sit up for 5 or 6 hours just to make sure I wasn't, like losing that lung capacity, being stuck in bed. And I think that did help with a little bit of the atrophy in my arm, just because I was able to kind of maneuver my chair, like tipping back and forth and whatnot. But just wasn't able to do, just because PICC line still wasn't able to do a lot. So that's still, finally coming back. So.
I think that probably did actually help you. I was always so nervous to ask them to do that because you're right. They don't know spinal cord, and they're like, "Oh, let's just try to move you over." And I'm looking at 2 of the nicest nurses, and I'm like, "You guys are great, but I'm 6'2", and you guys are 5'2" each, and looking like 110 pounds wet maybe. And I know you want to help me, but I'm not in the best shape to help myself. So let's skip today." And then, it's the next day, and I just skipped too many days. Plus I was just, so weak and just nervous for anybody else to move me. So it is kind of scary. And I think that probably did help you by getting up, because I know when they finally just put me up in my chair for the first day in rehab, I was like, whoa, okay, I'm about to pass out here. And I felt like I hadn't felt like that since day 1 of my, the first day I got on a tilt chair or something back in rehab 30, some years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, it's one of my biggest fears is like going down and like losing too much. And I don't know, like after hearing your story, Bobby, especially, and like now here is Jeremy, like it's, definitely give me some perspective on like, okay, you can do this, like, like you end up having to recover, like go down, like, it's not the end of, your independent life and stuff. You just have to work really, really hard to get back to it. And also like just do what you can. That's really great to hear, like you were able to advocate for yourself and be like, listen, people, I need to get up from my chair. It's what I got to do to feel better and to feel healthier and like to, do this recovery thing better and easier. So, that is awesome to hear. And I always tell everybody, like, you are your best advocate at the end of the day. Nobody, especially the nurses and the doctors and stuff, as much as they know, they don't always know what you need in terms of, like making yourself comfortable and, like what might be best for you, as a quadriplegic, spinal cord injured individual. So it is up to you to make sure you are educated on yourself, your body. You can communicate your care. You can communicate certain things to other people, even people that maybe you haven't worked with before, or have moved you before, or helped you before. It is just very important to learn those skills, and they all start kind of, I think, at home with your family members and your caregivers and understanding your care and things like that. But especially for instances like this, it is just so important to make sure you have a handle on that stuff. And there are also others familiar with it too. Like I'm sure Jeremy's so grateful for his caregivers and stuff that could be in the hospital, and people like Ellen, Bobby's wife, and people like my mom and Grandma Velma and everybody. Because if I can't communicate what I need, at least I know I got a couple people in my corner that are going to be right there that can communicate it for me and be able to like step in and be like, okay, this is what he needs, and like I know what he needs. This is what we got to make happen. So that gives me a lot of security and gives me a lot of reassurance. Um, in the instance that those things happen, and I just really encourage everybody to make sure that you can do that yourself and try to find other individuals around you can help educate as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. That's so well said, because yeah, you're your best advocate, and yeah, it's helpful to it's lucky that we're like Bobby had his wife there at least part of the time. I know he said she ended up getting COVID, but I had family there, my brother and caregivers and stuff that were definitely advocating for me, and the nurses learned really quick, and it was awesome, because I would get, once a nurse had worked with me, they would keep them in with me for like the 3 or 4 days they were on, working, and then they would get somebody else in, but then they would have them work with me for 3 or 4 days, and then once the weeks started turning over to 5, 6 weeks, it was I was always working with people that had worked with me at that point, and they because they're up on a cardiac floor, so they're dealing with like old people that had heart attacks for the most part, as opposed to 40-year-old quadriplegics. So
Yeah.
they learned quickly, and they were willing to do whatever it took. But I was definitely happy to have some people there in my corner, kind of advocating for me when, maybe I was just too out of it to advocate for myself. So
Yeah. Um, well, as we kind of approach the end here, I want to just touch on a couple things. One, we had a question in the chat, and I think it's a good time to shout it out. If you are fortunate enough to be in the Southern California area, at the end of the month, April 29th and 30th, the Triumph Foundation in Santa Clarita puts on an adaptive sports festival. It's an incredible event that lasts all weekend long. It's a lot of fun in the sun. There's like a dozen different adaptive recreation events, activities you can do at that event
I think it
in
was like
that day,
25
both
different.
days, or dozens, I should say. There's
There's even
just
scuba diving, everything, man.
rugby,
wow.
hand cycling, tennis, you
Pickleball.
name it. Pickleball, bocce ball, all the different activities you can imagine are going to be there. And stuff like yoga, art, like lots of different fun activities that aren't
Yeah, not just
necessarily
like sports,
related as
sports,
well.
and just
Yeah,
Um,
and Jeremy, I did a few years ago. This was at another sports camp that at Rancho that I used to work at, and we had all these sports and all these power chair guys that were like, "Well, I can't go play the rugby because I'm gonna ruin their chair, or it's not gonna be fair." And so I designed a cool obstacle course for and all these relay races for power chair users. And that
Oh,
every year they come and look for it. They're like, where's the obstacle course? So we even have stuff that for the power chair users.
it's
awesome,
a
man.
it's an
That's very
incredibly
cool.
inclusive event. Like I said, if you're fortunate enough to be in the Southern California area or able to travel down here for the weekend and stay, it is super, super worth it. We are going to be there all weekend long, hanging out, participating, and we actually have a booth there too. So we're going to be schmooze and live to roll and trying to spread the good word about the podcast and our different shows and stuff. So our buddy Rob in the chat, we are going to be there, man. I really look forward to hanging out and doing some fun activities together. And our buddy Mr. Wheels is going to be there as well. We're super excited for that. And Shawn, should we shout out our sponsors real quick too?
Yeah, for sure. And I was just gonna one more comment. Hip Crip earlier said that his PT told him you can lose 5% of muscle mass when you lay in bed for a day. So yeah, just wanted to throw that little bit of info out
I
there real quick.
fully
I
100%
remember
agree.
being in rehab like after my injury, and they would say every day you spend in bed, it takes like 2 or 3 days to like bounce back from that for your lungs and your just everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, it can get away quick, man.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, but when I had my accident, because I was an athlete and I had a body weight of, or I had my fat done once, and I had 6% uh, body fat on me at the time of my accident, and I went from 145 pounds to 115 in like a matter of 2 weeks in ICU. I mean, that's how fast,
Wow.
and all of that was muscle. So that's how fast it can go.
yeah,
All
that's
that weight
crazy,
in my
man.
muscle.
Um,
That being
uh,
said, if you find yourself in a situation where you are bedbound long term and stuff, there's lots of activities and things you can do in bed to help maintain yourself, but also, rehabilitation and recovery afterwards is possible too. You just have to, take it upon yourself to take it on. Dig deep, find the strength to, work and recover. It's not an easy road for anybody, but it is definitely possible for everybody. You just gotta dig deep and find it. Um,
yeah. All
Big
right,
shout
let's.
out to our sponsors, Mobility
Yeah,
Professionals and Urology Professionals. Mobility Professionals is a rehabilitation equipment company here in Southern California, specializing in wheelchairs and other similar devices. If you find yourself in need of a new wheelchair, standing frame, other similar rehabilitation device, and you're in the Southern California area, please be sure to check out Mobility Professionals. Go to their website, give them a phone call, let them know Live to Roll sent you, and relax as they make the process super easy, getting you whatever you need, with as little cost to you as possible. And similarly, urology professionals, they are a national brand. Anywhere in the U.S., if you find yourself in need of catheter supplies, any urological supplies, they're your people. Give them a call. They're specialists that specialize in insurance, understanding how to get you what you need. Nobody should ever need or want for catheters if you require them, and they will help get them to you in any way that they can, for as little cost as possible. So please give them a call if you find yourself in that situation, and yeah, they'll help you out. We appreciate
yeah.
their love and support. They do a lot for the community, for the Literal fam. So big shout out to our sponsors.
And they'll be at the
Yeah.
Triumph Sports Festival as well, so you can come
Uh,
out and check them out.
Yeah.
tell
Sorry, go ahead,
mobility
Jeremy.
professionals that they need to open up a spot in Western Washington because we
I
have
know.
terrible. I'm trying to get a new wheelchair now, man. They tried to do the
That's
okey doke on me. They brought one out and showed it to me, and it was had all the bells and whistles. And then they brought it to the house, the one they were going to give me, and it was like what the hell is this, man? I'm not taking
that.
this. So then we had to start all from scratch with a new whatever they call him. I don't know, ADP or something. A new guy came in to try to help
ATP.
me out. ATP,
Yeah, man.
okay.
Who's your company, if you don't mind me asking?
It's National Seating and Mobility.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yep,
They're
that's one of
and
those big ones that.
they just went through a major layoff nationwide. So a ton of people just got laid off from that.
wow. Yeah,
I just
they dropped the ball pretty bad. But
I just went through the process myself, Jeremy, and I have another kind of bigger company. They like cover like a huge swath of the nation. It's called New Motion, and I don't know. It was first off a long process. It took like 7 or 8 months to get my chair, and then I was very fortunate to have really great ATP. I'm gonna like give a big shout out to my guy Josh who helped me out. But it was still a pain in the ass and it took a long time. And again, the only advice I have for anybody out there who's working on getting a chair, advocate for yourself. Ask for everything. Ask for the most high end. They're gonna say no. They're gonna say, give you a hard time. But fight your insurance. Advocate for yourself. Justify why you need it. Research it. Make sure you get the right thing too. because not too many people are going to be on your side, but you can get what you need if you can advocate for yourself and just
But even
navigate the road.
just advocate, like turning away that chair that you knew wasn't right, like that's exactly what you need to do. Like there are
Right.
people that would have just taken that and just been like, okay, I guess that's what I got then, and then
Yep.
just been stuck with that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah, because once you sign it, man, the insurance is gonna pay,
yeah,
and then you're
that's it.
you're done. So yeah,
And it's
And
such
I
a
don't
real
think
quick,
I
complicated
don't think there's a
process
return
too.
policy on power chairs.
Yeah.
no, they don't.
I mean, they don't, but if it's not right, then they do, and that like you got to tell them like, hey, my seating system's not right, my wheelchair's not right, I'm flipping over, it's a danger to me, it's gonna put me in the hospital, it's gonna set back my like recovery, my rehabilitation, my mobility, it's gonna cause a big effect on my quality of life, and this isn't right. We need to make it right. And letting them know that, communicating that too. It's like, don't get yourself stuck in a bad situation because they are going to try to stick you in a bad situation. It's fucking crazy, and it sounds crazy to say, but like it is the reality. And like I don't think a lot of people like end up like getting themselves not getting themselves into a bad situation, but get it put into a bad situation and don't even know that they have rights and they have ability to like say no, be like, you guys have a responsibility to get this right for me, to help get me as independent and as functional as possible, because that's what they're there for, whether or not that's how they come off.
Yeah, and real
Yeah,
quick before
no,
the
that's so true.
I was just
Go
gonna
ahead.
say just to before we do wrap up, where was it in the chat? Rob had a question if we're on same time every week, and yeah, it's the same time every Tuesday. We're on. I don't remember where that question was, but yes, we are on there same time. And I think there was one more question we had to. Oh, Hip Crib. No, we will not be at the New Jersey Expo. We did not have the funding to do. We're doing Chicago in June though. That's the one we're traveling to for the year. Unfortunately, we
That'll
just
be
don't have the money to do more than that.
Next year we're going to try to mix it up, and I really want to go to. No, I don't think they're doing the Miami one this year. Though I really want to do the Miami one.
They're doing Fort Lauderdale instead of Miami,
Oh,
which yeah. So I don't know what they're. Um, yeah,
Yeah, we need to get one up here in the Northwest, man, Portland or
that
Seattle.
that's what even my cousin lives up in your area in Seattle. She was on Thursday, kind of messaging. Um, But yeah, she said that yeah, she mentioned like she's like I would really love to go to something like that, but there's not one anywhere in the Northwest. Like no
No.
Washington, Oregon. There's not even a Northern California one anymore. So it's
Yeah, they
like
come
there's
and go. Come and go.
nothing.
I do think it's nice that they make an effort to move them to different locales, though, to like get people in different areas. I mean, it is like I'm sure they can only do so much, but and a lot of planning goes into it. But I think it is cool that they do seem to move some shows around or add new shows in different areas to try to get different groups of people. But there needs to be something like this international too. We have some of our international audience always mentions not having anything like the Abilities Expos over in like the over in Europe, over in different parts of the world, and that it's super sad. It should be something that is more represented globally to get more representation for cool companies and cool technology and cool stuff you can find at those expos. Um, what are the
Yeah, for
dates
sure.
for June, Sean? Just
Chicago is June 23rd to the 25th. So
all
if
right.
anybody's in that area, in the Midwest
And we're
area,
we're booked. We're going. We're gonna be there
we
for a
are
whole week.
booked.
If any of the
So
Live to Roll fam
Come
we
wants
join
got
us,
to,
Jeremy.
work on
our
meeting up and
hotels
hanging
are
out, let's make it happen. It's gonna be fun.
yeah, and
Bobby's gonna be
we
there
are
too,
we are
right?
gonna also try to do some meetups. I think Friday and Saturday. I think so. Look out! It should be fun. Cool in-person meetups and stuff.
Hey, Roy, we're gonna
Nice.
be filming a bunch of it, filming as much of it as we can,
Yeah,
like
we
always.
definitely are. All right, so
Well,
yeah, just
Jeremy, I
to
feel
wrap
like
up. Was that?
we need to have Jeremy back on because I feel like totally missed everything about your podcast, and I'd love to hear more about your story instead of the hospital stuff. I want to hear about the good stuff and how it all got
Yeah.
started. So I'll definitely listen back on what the guys had to ask you, but definitely have to have you back. It feels like you're a natural with us, and we can just hang out and shoot the shit.
Yeah, man, I enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for I was gonna give Shawn a hard time for finally inviting me on. I was like, I've been waiting for this, man. So
I know I'm sorry it took so long to invite you on, man.
It's all
I know.
good, man. It's all good.
Last night when I was looking at your podcast, I'm like, I know Shawn said he was on this one. Where is it? It's so far back, so it's like, oh man.
Yeah.
It looks like you have a lot of great guests.
I was just waiting to grow. I was just growing our audience so that I could wait to share. That way I could share them with a bigger audience.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody, check us out. We're after you're done listening to this one, check out Live to Walk Again. We're available pretty much anywhere podcasts are available. So get us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or TuneIn anywhere.
Are you on YouTube at all?
We're not yet. We're gonna get some cameras and start doing. I mean, we do it from my kitchen. I have like vaulted ceilings, so like when we're in studio, it's we do it in there just because we got good acoustics. But yeah, we're planning on getting some cameras stuff to set up, and then we'll just have to splice it together because I do most of my interviews over Zoom. So
yeah, well, that was kind of what I was gonna do the last question. What's next for the podcast? What's next for the Live to Walk In Foundation? You got anything coming up? You're just gonna keep grinding out episodes and
yeah, I mean we're just gonna keep grinding, trying to get as much information out there about both spinal cord injury research and all the inspiring people that are living with this injury and doing amazing things. And I feel like there's so many amazing stories to tell in this space. So it's I appreciate Shawn coming on, and Brianna. I'm gonna have to get you and Bobby on as well, Tom, here soon. So
you say the word, man. We live to support each other in this community, right? We all are here to help prop each other up and share each other's stories and help motivate and inspire each other. So we really appreciate you spreading that inspiration and that motivation, Jeremy, because I think it's super important to just hear more stories and see more examples of that.
Same to you guys, man. I think what you do is so important, and like what we're all doing, it's for anybody that's getting newly injured now, I feel like there's so many different Facebook groups and stuff like this that people can go back and listen to get ideas on. I know you guys do a lot of stuff like with Shawn. I know starting out giving ideas on how to transfer and all that stuff, how to light your bong like that. I was digging that video.
We have a wide variety of skills we share.
It's important, man. I mean, we're all human. We're just trying to live life, right? So trying to figure out the new reality of this injury is
sex, drugs, and transferring. Covered all your quadriplegic and paraplegic needs. Let's go.
Right. Man.
Well, we appreciate you, Jeremy.
It's been awesome. Yeah, appreciate you.
And we will for sure have you back on again. Like we mentioned earlier, Rob, we are on in the chat there. We are on every Tuesday, 3:30. So we'll be back next week. And then also, we got lots of stuff coming. Tom's on every Wednesday now, gaming at 5 p.m. So he's doing live gaming. And last week we had an awesome stream. We had a bunch of people hopping on there. THC Goddess was in there. Mr. Wheels was in there. Sarab was in there. So
our buddy Mike was on. We had 5 quads all on Fortnite at once. It was awesome. The quad squad was in the building. So if you are interested in adaptive gaming at all, we play lots of games. Some really simple ones that don't even require a lot of function. If you're just trying to get into it and learn about it and see if it's possible for you, come hang out. It's a good time. It's a little bit longer. We're just chilling. There's really we're just gaming, talking about life and having a good time. So Thursday we got women's disability show also.
Yeah, this Thursday is the first week, so the women will be on. Rihanna will be on this Thursday, and then third Thursday, and then also next Thursday we will have Bobby on with Robert doing "Rolling Over the Hill." So if you're aging with a disability, we got you on everything.
The
And
content
now
train
that
doesn't stop, people. You know where it's at. It's right here at the Live to Roll channel. So make sure to find yourself here a couple days throughout the week, coming and hanging out with us. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't. If you are having trouble with those notifications, I know Rob said he was earlier. Just make sure to click that little notification bell next to the subscription button and make sure your notifications are turned on for YouTube. And you should get notified when we do go live on your phone or on your computer. That's if you want to. We love your support no matter what.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate you guys. We love all you guys. Thank you. Real quick, Hip Crib mentioned where we're staying. We're just staying at the hotel that's connected to the convention center. I actually don't know the name of it right now. Message me on Instagram. I'll give you the info. But yeah, thank you guys all for watching. Jeremy, thanks for coming on, dude. And
Anytime,
yeah,
man.
we
Live
appreciate
to
all
Walk
you
Again
guys.
podcast. Anywhere you can find podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Go check it out.
Yeah, check them out, follow, and on Instagram and everything. Make sure get all those social medias so you know when the shows are coming out. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Live to roll, everybody, and live to walk again.